Thank you to YouGov for sponsoring this video. YouGov allows you to take online surveys to earn points and get cash rewards. YouGov has polls and surveys about politics, pop culture, products, and brands. Instead of spending too much time on social media, I'll take 2 or 3 surveys each day and use the money that we earn from that to invest into the house. I can take surveys while taking a break from working on the house for a few minutes. I can give my opinion on topics that matter to me and get paid to do it. We recently used the money we earned from YouGov to help with the bathroom restoration. Click the link in the description box to start earning money now. And thanks again to YouGov for sponsoring this video.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Real quick, I just want to say sorry that last episode was a bit shorter, but it did allow me to go and pick up something really truly incredible. And the item I picked up definitely helps me tell more of the story of the house. I think it's really incredible, but before we get into showing you guys what it is, I wanted to show you where it came from, because I think it's a really incredible place. So last Sunday, me and my father drove to Humboldt, Kansas. It's a really beautiful little town with some really amazing assets. But I didn't come for the well-preserved main square or its 2 quirky, kind of really cute water towers. I came for the Neosho Valley Woodworks to meet Patrick and to pick up a machine. But again, before we get to the machine, let's talk about Patrick and his amazing woodwork shop. Patrick has worked on and with antique woodworking machines for over 40 years. He has restored and made his living off these wonderful pieces of history. Not only does he use over 100-year-old machines, but he powers them with a line shaft system, the way they ran originally. The sights, the smells, and the sounds are amazing. I mean, just listen to this. Of course, having these kinds of machines means he definitely has some Hall & Brown machines in the mix. It's amazing to see them still working and still making parts for historic homes today. And I feel what Patrick is doing in Humboldt, Kansas is a true honor to the legacy of the man who built and lived in my home, Mr. Charles S. Brown. And I think this sets a really, really high standard for me for when I build my workshop on Mr. Hall's lot. Now, I haven't let you guys in on this quite yet, but I actually, a few weeks ago, acquired a line shaft, a 30-foot long line shaft, which is just the perfect size for the workshop I have in mind that I want to build. Now, of course, I have a line shaft, and I do have the 2 table saws that are Hall & Brown, but both of those had been converted away from using the old line shaft system and run now on DC motors. However, the new tool I picked up was completely restored by Patrick. It is in perfect line shaft working condition. So let's go have a look at that now, shall we? All right guys, so I'm down here in the basement and boy, do I have a really beautiful thing to show you guys. Check this beauty out. So for those of you who have no idea what this is a Hall & Brown post lathe, or what they called in the catalog, a cabinet or pattern maker's lathe. This is the like 1900 Hall & Brown catalog. And there's the machine we're looking at right now. You can see beautifully restored. In fact, you know, the whole system, I mean, it's just here, it works, it's perfect. As you can see, this is adjusting the, I believe you'd call this the chuck. I haven't used a lathe since I was in middle school, so this is gonna be a bit of a new experience for me, but yeah, perfectly enameled and painted, Hall & Brown in gold. I mean, Patrick really made this thing amazing. You see, this is actually part of the gearing system. So if you see here underneath the table, now this piece is upside down, but this is actually what would attach to the line shaft itself. You'd have one of these wheels be the wheel that would spin freely, and one would grab the shaft and turn this here. As you see, the bigger the wheel gets here, the smaller it gets here. So you go from a big wheel to a small wheel, so high gear to low gear essentially. And that's how these things worked. Now the bed on this thing is actually quite large. It's 11 foot 3 inches. So that means I could turn a post for a house that was, just shy of maybe 10 feet with this thing. And if I ever needed to build a bigger bed, I could. These were meant to, go on to different pieces. But I do believe that this is probably the original bed it shipped with. But, you know, finding these two parts in good condition isn't terribly difficult. Finding this with it is, I think, nearly impossible, because these were almost always forgotten about and left because nobody was running line shaft anymore. So the fact that this is still here, that this entire thing is completely restored and ready to go, it's just incredible. You don't find these things. You know, finding Hall and Brown equipment by itself is quite the task, believe me. But finding something that's this nice and this shape is unheard of. And, you know, having a guy like Patrick, who's worked on these machines for over 40 years, he spent his life dedicated really to working on these things and making sure that they worked again. He's taken things that were so rusty, they were seized up, they would have never run again, but he's restored them and kept all the original pieces, which is, it's baffling, guys. I mean, this still has the shifter and everything. It's really incredible. Like, I just can't believe it's here. You know, I've went over these catalogs for so long, and yes, I have machines that are in this catalog, but not one that's in this shape. It's just an absolute beauty. And of course, while I was with Patrick, we might have negotiated for some other machines, wink, wink. I have to go back up there because I want to hear more about Patrick's story, because I think he's a really, really interesting character. He has so much knowledge. He's basically a walking, talking machine encyclopedia. And he's just a really friendly, really kind-hearted person. And I'd love to share more about what he does with you guys, because I think it's so fascinating. These machines just burst to life. I love it, really. I find it so fascinating, and I hope you guys do too. And when machines come available that are things that he owned, I know that they were cared for and loved, and that they're restored, and they run the way I want them to run. So I don't know if I could really ever pass up an opportunity if he's selling something. So stay tuned for that, guys. Also did end up picking these up from him as well. These are all what are called hangers. This is where the shaft goes through the center here, and these are what hang the shaft from the ceiling. And of course, these are all perfectly restored as well. And these come with a slight bonus cool factor, which these were made in St. Louis, which is even better. Don't know if you guys can really see that. There you go, St. Louis. They're not Hall and Brown, but they were made here, and I think that makes them a bit more special. Also, the line shaft that I did get, it was on a flat roof that had a slope, so they used a bunch of different hangers to hang that thing up, and none of them are the same size. I plan on having a completely flat surface, no slope for a flat roof when I build my shop, so these are all the same size, which makes that just a little bit easier. All right, guys, enough about machines for this episode. Let's get into what I did this week. So we're back, and here's the result. So definitely looking quite a bit better in this area. I know a few of you are going to ask, why am I messing with this back area right now when there's a lot to do on the front? Well, one main reason for that is I need to get this window and door done, because this area down here is what Dominique's been working on recently. He's been putting up walls, and that will be the area for the kitchen. And it's a room I hope to have done by Christmas, because having an actual full kitchen, it would definitely be a huge improvement over my little pizza oven that I'm currently using. And once you have a kitchen in, one thing you definitely don't want is something that makes a lot of dust, like this stuff, messing with it. So I went ahead and kind of did a bunch of this stuff. Also, I have a lot of pointing to do quite soon when it comes to all of this stonework. Of course, the entire house is wrapped in this stuff. At the base, you can see obviously where it starts to become brick. So I have to learn how to do tuck pointing on this, which is removing the mortar and putting new stuff in. This is all lime mortar, so it's really soft. So it should be easy to scrape out, but of course it can't be quite that easy. Because of course, as you guys saw, not only did they paint this wonderful, wonderful work, and that's the paint we got left from our stripping adventure this week, they also rendered quite a bit of it in cement. So you can kind of see that's why I haven't stripped anything down here, because that's all cement render. It's just cement floated right over top of the stone to make it go away. Really good example of this is actually here on the side of the house. That's the door that goes into the vet clinic with the really nice tile on the floor. You can see this is perfectly flat. And that's not what stone looks like, but stone is actually behind there, because if we come to the side here, you can kind of see that it goes back to being the stone again. While this rendering is kind of hard to get off, to be honest with you, the paint is even harder, so I kind of wish they had rendered everything, because then I could pull it away and fix it really easily. Luckily though, most of this paint is so old and so broken that it kind of just chips and floats away. But even in these areas, you can kind of see where they've used cement as mortar, which is not good for stone, because the stone is kind of soft. With modern brick and stuff like that, you can of course use this mortar. But with a house this old, they didn't have, cement technology, or at least not like we use today, not Portland cement. So they used lime mortar, which is a bit different. It's a bit softer. And since it's softer, it's about the same hardness as the stone, and therefore the mortar fails and doesn't crack the stone. With cement like this, you can actually get cracks in the stone because it's harder than the surrounding stone. So it's something we have to remedy here at some point. And you can see here on the back, lots of this stuff, just like there is on the front. But of course, this area was what that area was looking like, and I think that looks much nicer. The other project was this window. I took the metal bars off of it. The reason I haven't pulled out either of these sashes quite yet is because I wanted to have something that blocks the window from people getting in there at least. So I took the metal, which looks a lot like that one there, off. I'm currently in the process of cleaning that one up, and as soon as it's done, I will put it back on here and then take the two sashes to be done. Try to sneak in as many of these sashes here on the bottom level as humanly possible for winter. Main reason for that is because the glazing on the window sashes takes so long to dry that I'm just kind of trying to get them out of the way. So kind of doing it one step at a time with these things, kind of as background projects. So the sashes you'll probably end up seeing quite a bit as background projects. Now I wish I could say that I got back on the lift this week, but we had a little bit of rain and some other things that kind of didn't allow me to get the stripper up there. The other thing I could do would be work on the actual stone itself with that masonry stuff. But again, I need dry days in a row to be able to accommodate that. And this week wasn't a great one for that. It's not like we got a lot of rain, but we got rain at the wrong times. So I've been messing with this stuff here. So that's gonna do it for this week, guys. But before we go, guys, I wanted to say thank you guys so very much for sticking with me through this entire project. I know sometimes it seems like it's moving slow, and to me it definitely feels that way sometimes. And I know some weeks feel a bit more lackluster than others. And I know, just like every other human on this planet, I make mistakes and I do things wrong sometimes, and I'm a work in progress just like everybody else. And I know sometimes the sponsors can feel a little bit distant as well. But understand, these sponsors allow me to pay for all of these wonderful things I do here. I think I told many of you at the very beginning, I came into this not a very wealthy person, and that really hasn't changed still to this day. But somehow I keep finding a way to do this. And I know a lot of the longtime viewers already know this, but I know some of the new people might not. The plan for this place, once it's done, is to be able to share it with you all, not just here online, but in person. I want you guys to be able to come and stay here and sit in the parlor and have a drink and play with the phonograph and play with the pump organ and take a shower in the needle shower, or come to the workshop and see the tools in action, or just teach people how to restore their homes correctly. That's the kind of point of this entire thing. That, and to bring some new life into St. Louis and to really show my city for what it is, which I think is a beautiful thing, a beautiful community. So that was always the entire point of this channel. So that's all for now, folks. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Take care of yourselves. Love you guys. Bye-bye.